Hi everyone, and welcome to Moonstone Makes. My name is Tommy. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today is a bright and sunny but super cold Monday in December here on the Northern California coast where I'm coming to you from. And because it's almost winter time, it's almost the winter solstice, I wanted to talk a little bit about my knitting today and my winter plans. So I'm gonna lay out for you all of my current works in progress and what I plan to knit coming up for the winter time. Before I talk about knitting though, I want to thank Ana Luisa who partnered with me on today's video. Ana Luisa is an affordable, high quality, and environmentally sustainable jewelry company online. I love Ana Luisa because their pieces are unique and beautiful. Some of them are really understated and classic, and some of them are really chunky and statementy and cool. Their company is carbon neutral, water neutral, and my favorite part, they use recycled gold when they can, and they use lab-grown diamonds. All of their packaging is eco-friendly, including these super cool cotton pouches that all of the pieces come in. I love these. They're reusable, and they have these great magnetic snaps, and I know you all love a good snap button, because I do. I mean, look what I use this one for. Like, it fits this stuff perfectly. It even has this little, like, back pocket where you can put your snips and your darning needle. Like, I know this isn't like an advertisement for their packaging, but it's really good. Ana Luisa really kindly sent me 4 pieces to share, and I'm wearing most of them right now, so I'm going to share them with you. First is the Aspen necklace, which is really cool and really chunky. It's like a paperclip chain style, and it's just kind of weird and kind of cool, and I love it. And I love layering it over this other piece that they sent me, which is a mood necklace. Like, a mood necklace. I love it. I'm just like super into it. This is the Jamie bracelet, which matches so good with the necklace, and I feel very fancy, very matchy-matchy. And finally, a pair of earrings. These are some silver hoop earrings that are very simple and easy to open and snap off and snap on, and I love them. I'm inching up towards my goal of wearing giant hoop earrings, which I would love to do and which Ana Luisa does have, but with a baby and a toddler, I'm working my way up to it with medium-sized hoop earrings. I'm gonna get to the big ones eventually. Ana Luisa is having a sale right now through December 20th. If you're interested in checking out any other jewelry for yourself or as gifts, please use my link below. So thank you, Ana Luisa. Thank you all for listening to my jewelry spiel, and let's get on with the knitting. Okay, so I'm gonna start out by showing you all of my current whips. I'm gonna show you my like 2-ish active whips, and then also all of my UFO whips. So my whips that haven't touched for a really long time. And then I'm going to tell you what I plan to knit in the wintertime, including my yarn plans, because I have thought that far ahead. Okay, first things first are these socks that you have seen like a whole bunch of times already. These are some shorty socks that I'm knitting out of Moonstone Dyeworks yarn, which is my yarn company. This is the Piranesi colorway, and they're top-down socks. I just did a short ribbing for the cuff, a 1x1 ribbing before I went into the heel flap and gusset, and they're just plain stockinette socks. Here's my second one. It looks very similar to how it looked the last time you saw it. I'm just past the heel. I just finished my gusset decreases and I'm on the foot. So that's all I have left to do is a foot. Here's the yarn. This is my Merino sock base, which is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. And I'm knitting these on a size US 1. And they're my Chiaogu interchangeable mini sock needles or something, and I love them. These are my favorite sock needles. The sock size interchangeable Chiaogus, love them. They have a very thin and flexible cord, unlike regular Chiaogus, and they're just, oh, it's just so nice having an interchangeable set for socks. I love it. I love these needles. So that's my first whip. These have been on the needles for so long, and I'm just kind of slowly working through them. I think I cast them on in the summertime thinking I wanted a pair of shorty socks for summer, and you know how that goes. So that's my first whip. Up next, we have the sad tale of my pressed flowers cardigan. I had such high hopes for this project. I loved it. I loved working on it. This is a cardigan by Amy Christophers, and it's a slipped stitch colorwork pattern. So you have this 2-color texture in the background and then these crosses here. It's an all-over pattern. It's a V-neck cardigan. It's drop shoulder. It's everything I want. It's so pretty. I love it. I love the yarn. So the yarn that I decided to try and knit this thing out of was this Elsawool. This is their sport weight woolen spun Rambouillet. And this is the color that I started for the main color background. But I only had 1 skein of this. I have 2 skeins of this, which is the same yarn but in a lighter color. And I have 1 skein of this. Same thing. Same yarn, lighter color. I thought it would work out pretty good doing like a gradient for the background color. This is the yarn that I was using for the contrast color. This is Blue Moon Fiber Arts Lacy. It's a lace weight that I was holding double to try to match the gauge of my sport weight. And let's just show you how far I got. This is what happened. It's bottom up. I loved how it looked. I love the color. I love everything about it. And then I got to the point where I was going to switch to the next lightest color. I was just going to switch lighter and lighter until I got all the way up because that's the yarn that I had. And it looks like this. And I just hated it. I just didn't like how it looked. And I didn't picture it looking good as this kind of color blocking gradient. I also considered doing like a fade style where I kind of alternated rows before actually just switching off to the next color. But I thought that was gonna look clunky and awkward too. And I just decided based on this little bit here that I wasn't gonna like it and I couldn't keep going. So I stopped. I stopped working on it and I'm super duper sad about it. What I really want now that I've like done all this is I just want the whole cardigan in the dark color. I really like how this looks. I don't want it to switch. I don't want it to get lighter. I don't want that color blocking effect or a fading effect. I want it all in this freaking dark yarn. I bought this yarn years ago with a different color work pattern in mind, which is why I got so many different colors. And I'm so sad I don't just have 4 skeins of this because that would work. That would totally work. So I don't know. The obvious solution to my problem is to buy more yarn in this color. I did check their website. They do have it. This is like the dark gray sport weight woolen spun or whatever. And it's still on this same weird like perpetual sale that it was a couple years ago when I bought it. So I think it might even be the same batch. I don't know. Who knows? I'm not too big on batch color differences. Like that kind of thing doesn't bother me. So I could buy more yarn. It's very possible for me to just continue the sweater and buy more yarn. The thing is that I don't want to buy more yarn. I really, really, really wanted to knit for my stash. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm probably just going to let it sit for a little while and, I don't know, buy more yarn at some point or maybe rip it out at some point. I don't know. So that's it. It's a whip, but it has become an UFO because it's an unfinished object that isn't going to get worked on right now until I figure out what to do. The whole stash thing with this project though isn't a total loss because I did decide to take this medium color and use it in a different project. Which brings me to the next project that I have on my needles that I am actively working on, and it is with that same yarn. So I have 2 skeins of this medium color. And I really loved how this was knitting up. And I really loved the thought of this yarn as some nice squishy brioche. And what I've really been craving in my wardrobe is a scarf. Like a scarf, not a shawl. I have like a million shawls. I wanted a scarf, a very long, rectangular scarfy scarf, and I wanted it to be squishy, and I wanted it to be woolly, and I wanted it to be woolen. So I decided just to wing a brioche scarf out of this woolen spun yarn, and I think it's going to be perfect. So originally my idea was to do 2-color brioche, and I wound up this skein of hand spun as well. This is some silk and Polworth that's been in my hand spun stash for a while. I spun this up probably a couple of years ago. It's lovely. I love it. And I do think these two look pretty good together, but they didn't look good as 2-color brioche. It was giving me this like vertical stripe circusy vibes and I wasn't into it. So I ripped it out. I probably got a couple inches to that first iteration of that 2-color brioche scarf. I ripped it out and recast on with just the Elsawool. So I originally thought I would do a 50 stitch cast on to get the width that I wanted. And I knit probably a couple inches and decided it was going to be too wide, so I ripped back out. And what I ultimately did for this guy is I used a US size 5 needle and I cast on 44 stitches and just went to town in brioche. And I like the width. I think it's going to be perfect. And I'm just going to go as long as I can. I'm going to use up my whole 2 skeins. And I imagine that's even going to be a little too short because brioche uses up a lot of yarn. Like brioche is a very textured, kind of almost double layer kind of pattern. So I'll use up both skeins, but I think I'm going to want it even longer than that. So I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do, but I think like a color blocking thing could look good in this project. So I might go with the next lighter color for like the end of it, or also I might even knit some of this into it too. I don't know. I think this being a multicolored scarf could work really well, and I like the idea of it being like a long length of one color and then a short length at one end of 1 or 2 different colors rather than like striped all the way through. So that's what I'm working on right now, and I'm really enjoying it. The very nice thing about just doing 1-color brioche as opposed to doing 2-color brioche is that there are no rows to keep track of, because with 2-color brioche, it's pretty much a 4-row repeat to be able to do the 2 colors in their turns. But with 1-color brioche, it's just one single row over and over and over again. There's no sliding your stitches across the needle to start over again on a row. It's just all back and forth. It's all brioche knits, no brioche purls. It's perfect, and I'm having so much fun working on this. It's definitely slow going because brioche rows take longer to complete than regular knitting rows because you are still essentially knitting each row twice, kind of. So the length progress is slow on a brioche scarf, but I'm really enjoying it, and oh, it feels so good. This yarn is really, really perfect for this kind of fabric, for this kind of application. I think it's going to be a wonderful scarf, and I cannot wait to wear it. Also, I need to remember to save some of this yarn at the end because I want tassels. I want big, long, fluffy, puffy thrift store tassels. Yeah, I'm excited about the tassels. Okay, now we're going to get into some old stuff. So I've had these socks on the needles for so long. These were supposed to be Christmas gifts for Colin, my husband. I don't know. Maybe 4 years ago? Look, they have a little bow progress keeper because they were meant to be Christmas gifts, but they never were Christmas gifts. So I don't know. I doubt I won't. I will not finish these for Christmas this year. But these are some socks that have been waiting to be finished. This is out of Two Guys Yarn Company in the Tweedy Toes base. I don't know. It's the tweed and it's like robin's egg blue or something like that. So this is just vanilla socks, and apparently, what the heck? I don't know. So I'm at the toe, right? Like that looks normal. And then look at the side. It's got, I don't know. So this is a pair of unfinished socks is what it is. It's a vanilla sock. I don't even know how many stitches are on it. I would have to count in order to cast on the second one because this is all I have. So this is what's left of the yarn. Is this even half the skein? I should probably weigh it if I'm planning on finishing these socks. I would like to finish them sometime for Colin. They're so easy and he likes hand knitted socks. So I should finish them. But I haven't touched these in years. And the last thing that I have sitting on my needles is another thing for Colin. And this is another thing that I started years ago. I don't know how many years ago. You might remember it from the YouTube channel, however many years ago it was. But I started a sweater for him that I still have not finished and I haven't touched in a long time. And I really do want to pick back up on this because sometimes you just got to make your things for the people in your life that you love. So this is the Little Waves cardigan. It's a pattern by Jared Flood, I think. It's a Brooklyn tweed pattern. And I am using Brooklyn tweed for this. I bought like a billion skeins of Brooklyn tweed for this freaking sweater. And I haven't even touched it. Look, there's like 12 skeins of yarn in here. There's so much yarn in this bag that hasn't been knit with yet because I'm lazy. So this is Shelter in the sweatshirt colorway. Colin helped me choose this pattern. He helped me choose the yarn, and I need to just make this gosh dang sweater. There's a taco progress keeper on it, because Colin loves tacos. So the Little Waves cardigan is a bottom-up pattern, and it's a textured pattern, but the texture is different than the one that I'm doing. So that's my major alteration to this pattern, is that I'm following the pattern exactly as is, but I switched out the pattern of the Little Waves for this broken rib. And it's got the pattern section that alternates with a garter section here that goes up the side. And it's like a really basic, pretty easy pattern. And I'm just going bottom up, and then, I'm going to do the sleeves and the collar and the joining and blah, blah. And I just have to do it. I just have to pick it up and do it. And I think the reason why I lost steam on this one is just because it's big. Like, he's a big guy. So it's a lot of length. It's a lot of stitches going back and forth, and it's a broken rib, so it's a lot of knits and purls alternately. And I think I just got bored with it, and every time I thought about picking it up again, I was just like, I don't want to. It is definitely a good thing to not make yourself do things you don't want to do in terms of your knitting, because knitting should be fun. It's a hobby. It's peaceful, and it brings you happiness. And so why make yourself make things that you don't want to make? Obligation knitting is a thing that I don't typically partake in, but there gets to a point when it's been years and you just haven't finished the thing that you really wanted to make for your loved one. So I think I need to just make myself do it. This is more important than the socks. The socks can wait another couple years. I would really like to get back to this. But yeah, it's just been sitting around in this really beautiful Katie Did Knits bag. So at least there's that. Okay, I almost forgot about my very last UFO/current whip. This is the oldest. This is so old. I've said that about every UFO so far that I started 8 years ago, but this one I started even years and years before that. So I have pulled out my granny stripe crochet blanket, and I have it living in this basket, which is itself living on this brand new shelf next to me, which I just got pretty recently. Do you like it? It's bamboo. I have it living on this shelf because I really want to get back into working on it regularly. I kind of do this every winter. I work on this regularly in the winter, and then when spring comes, I put it away, and I can never seem to actually finish it. Maybe this will be the year. I don't know. But here she is, my granny stripe crochet blanket. What a craze, and it's still living on in my house. And it was a craze for a good reason. Is it still a craze? Do people still make these? I don't know. But it's still wonderful, and I still love working on it, and I still can't wait until it's finished. So this is a blanket made out of all fingering weight mini skeins and scraps, and I do a granny stripe cluster. I should not try to tell you what I'm doing because I don't know the terminology. But here's what it looks like. So it's just that. It's that crochet stitch over and over and over and over, back and forth forever and ever and ever. I should really know more crochet terminology, but I just don't. But it's massive. I cast on, chained on, whatever, back when I first started this thing, so that it would fit over my queen-sized bed. So it's very wide, and my original intention years ago was to make it like a queen-size blanket. I have since decided that that's too big, and I don't want to do that anymore because I don't want it as like a bed blanket. Plus I have a king-size bed now. Moving up in life, and I'd rather just have it as like a couch blanket. So I've decided to make it square instead. So I don't have that much farther to go. It's just like that last this much just seems to not progress at all. But here's my most recent stripe, which probably happened a year ago, and I legit cannot tell you what any of these yarns are at all. Like I don't know. But here's my crochet blanket over time. Oh my gosh, it's so big. Here's the beginning. That's the very beginning. So this is her. She's coming back out. She's having her time again. It's winter, and I'm going to work on her. And maybe I'll finish her. I don't know. But I'm very happy to have her out again. I love working on it. The hook that I'm using for it is a Tulip 3.5mm hook. And that's what she looks like. She's a wonderful hook, and I love her. Okay, now on to what I am going to knit. So I have some winter knitting plans. The first thing and the most important thing, my big priority, is to knit Lucy a new hat. Lucy's my 4-year-old daughter, and a long time ago I knit her this hat, which is the classic cuffed beanie from Pearl Soho. It's a free pattern. It's a really simple, really basic, bottom-up, ribbed, stockinette, pom-pommed hat. It's knit in worsted weight yarn, and this hat has been just like so perfect and good, and it's my favorite hat, and it's just been an amazing hat. It's just been like an amazing hat, and that's all there is to it. So she's kind of grown out of it. I think I knit like a kid size for her. I think it comes in baby, kid, and adult, and this is the kid size, and I think she needs the adult size now. She's been wearing this for years, and she needs a new one. So I knit this one in Stonehenge Fiber Mill, which is a non-superwash wool, and it's a worsted weight, and it's purple. And it's lovely. I love this yarn for this hat so much. And there's a pom-pom on it, and I love it. But River has been wearing it. River's my 18-month-old, and it fits him really perfectly now, so this is getting passed down onto him, and I need to knit Lucy a new one. And my plan for her new one is this yarn from my stash, which is Deep Creek Yarns, and it's 100% Rambouillet. And it's a worsted weight, and I think it's gonna look so good as a classic cuffed beanie. And it's really soft and it's really squishy. The feel of it is very reminiscent of this yarn. It's soft and it's woolly at the same time. It's beautiful and I love it, and I think this is going to look good, and I think it's going to keep her nice and warm. And I'm also excited about the pom-pom with this yarn. I think it's going to look really good. Okay, the next thing I want to make is a Magnolia Bloom pullover. This is a pattern by Camilla Vaude, and I've eyed this pattern for so long, and I think it looks so good. And I think I want to make it in one of my new kind of winter colorways, which is Hedge Witch. So this is Moonstone Dyeworks. I want to use this base, which is my non-superwash fingering base. And the pattern calls for 2 yarns held together. Now, it calls for a fingering and a light fingering being held together to get like a worsted gauge. Now, I'm not sure yet if I want to just hold 2 skeins of this fingering weight wool yarn together, or if I want to do 1 strand of this and 1 strand of Surrey alpaca dyed in the same colorway. I haven't decided, but that's pretty much what I want to do. I really like this colorway. It's a really like warm kind of stone greenish mossy based dark grayish almost black. That was a lot of words to describe a color. It's pretty basic. It's a neutral, but I really like it, and yeah, I think I want to use this for the Magnolia Bloom pullover. It looks really fun to knit. It's got baubles and lace, and it's really like at a chunky gauge, so I think it's going to go by really smoothly and quickly. And I want to make it like I usually do. I want to make it long, I want to make it oversized, and I think it's going to be cozy and warm, especially in the non-superwash. Especially if I add alpaca. The next thing that I want to make, this is kind of like higher goals. Like this is like a dream thing. Like I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to do it, but I really want to. So there's a pattern called the Ariana by Amy Christophers, and it's a granny square cardigan. And it's all knit separately in granny squares, and then you put them together and you get this lovely V-neck cardigan. And it's crocheted in worsted weight yarn. And it's just beautiful, and I want to make it so bad. Now, I like how the color palette is in the sample. I have a ton of worsted weight scraps and partial skeins that I could use as like a scrappy version of this, but I kind of like the idea of like a cohesive unified palette the way that the sample has. It's got like, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 different colors throughout the whole thing. I think it would be really cool to do that. So I could either go in my stash and just do it scrappy and all over the place, or I don't know if I'll do this. I could use the yarn it calls for, which is Barocco Lanus, which is just 100% wool, and that would be cool and probably not very expensive. But I also have this one skein of Quince & Co. in my stash, and it's so lovely, and I think it would be so nice to make that sweater out of this. This would be a pricier thing, so I don't know if it's going to happen, but like I said, this is my dream crochet project here, so that's what I'm fantasizing about. But this is Quince & Co. Owl, and it's 50% American wool, 50% alpaca, and this is the colorway Canyon. I love this so much. It feels so good. Oh, I would love a sweater out of this. So I would need to, I only have this one 50-gram skein. So I would need to figure out a color palette, buy a whole bunch of yarn, but I would love that crocheted sweater out of this yarn. I don't know, we'll see. I might do it, but I might get the Barocco that it calls for, which is also has a really great color palette, and I don't know how it feels yet because I've never felt it, but I'm sure it's wonderful. Or I might just do the scrappy version. I'm not sure yet, but that's my way up there dream project, is that crochet granny square sweater, which I just think would be so cool. And of course, I would make it longer, so I would need more yarn than what the pattern called for. That's everything I've been working on, everything I haven't been working on, and everything I want to work on this winter. I'd love to hear about your winter knitting or crafting plans. What are you going to knit? What are you going to crochet? Are you working on a granny stripe crochet blanket? Tell me about it. Are you working from stash, or are you going to treat yourself to some nice fancy new yarn because it's the holidays, and why not? Okay, I'm going to leave you there. Thank you so much again to Ana Luisa. If you are interested in checking them out, please do use my link below. And if the discount code that I can offer you is better than the one on the website, use code TommyT20 for 20% off. That would be lovely. If you liked this video and want to see more like it, please do feel free to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. If you have anything else you want to see from me video-wise, tell me in the comments below. I love your suggestions, and I love working them into my video rotation. Thank you to my patrons. Thank you to my Ko-Fi contributors. Thank you to everybody who subscribes and follows and watches and likes. It makes my freaking day every single day, and I will see you next time. Love you, and goodbye.